Good day to our distinguished guests, delegates, fellow speakers and exhibitors. I regard it as an honor and a privilege having been asked to be one of the key speakers in a first-of-its-kind online exhibition for South Africa that is the Freight Suppliers Show, spearheaded by FTW Online and Freight Trading Weekly. The industry has braced themselves for an incredible, sui generis experience with the Freight Suppliers Show, and evidently it is safe to say that this online exhibition is nothing less than phenomenal. I will be, over the next 20 minutes or so, sharing a superfluity of informed insights around the changing face of customs compliance in South Africa, as well as methodologies to truly harness the power of the fourth industrial revolution as logistics professionals, which promises to provide detailed insights on how to add value to our businesses by integrating 4IR technologies into our day-to-day operational activities. Change is inevitable. It is the only constant in life. We need to continuously adapt our capabilities to meet the demands of the current times in order to survive and prosper in a world where the threat of becoming obsolete is comparatively far greater than it has ever been before. Welcome to the 4IR. Logistics professionals need to manage the elements of the revolution today in order to avoid becoming obsolete tomorrow. Sorry to sound so dramatic, but it is quite true. The introduction of steam power effectively revolutionized industry. So did Henry Ford's assembly line. These revolutions resulted in radical new approaches that brought unprecedented capacity to production and manufacturing. Since then, we've entered the age of automation and robotics, which many experts consider the third industrial revolution. The next phase of industry represents not just a revolution, but more so an evolution. Industry 4.0, as it's been named, is truly a new vision for an industrial economy that's both seamlessly digital and self-conscious. Unlike previous revolutions, which were predicated on the introduction of a single invention, Industry 4.0 is a deliberate framework launched in 2011 in anticipation of new technology. Seeking to capitalize on Germany's competencies in engineering, logistics, and IT, the German federal government finalized the concept in 2013. Today, Industry 4.0 acts as a sort of a roadmap to high-tech industrial digitalization. Its foundation is a digital convergence of operations, where process and data can be integrated across multiple supply chains and product life cycles. It isn't a magic pill, but rather a guideline for improved organizational and process performance. Because Industry 4.0 builds on existing revolutionary steps and brings them to a new level, it requires lean setups as a starting point. When efficient, well-structured processes are in place, Industry 4.0 can emerge, and that verily is the motivational force behind my message this afternoon on the fourth industrial revolution and how we can harness the power thereof as logistics professionals in South Africa based on our operation around our legislative framework in the stratosphere of customs compliance and freight forwarding, logistics, warehousing, and transport. Supply chain leaders have long sought greater visibility, and the fourth industrial revolution delivers exactly that. All stakeholder groups have access to real-time data for their specific tasks. Furthermore, thanks to aggregation schemes, companies can be controlled from the individual machine view all the way up to global corporate controls. All of this is implemented on unique single point of truth, enhanced by your business rules. This approach not only eliminates the need for duplicative and potentially flawed manual data aggregation, but it also increases process speed and supports continuous process improvement. Furthermore, this E2E, end-to-end visibility, within a company positions the organization for E2E visibility across the entire supply chain, from the raw material supplier to the end user. A move beyond postmodern ERP. The manufacturing industry's approach to enterprise resource planning has been evolving alongside technology. Innovative supply chain leaders are looking beyond the best-of-breed approach that characterize modern ERP. Instead, they are adopting ERPs that foster strategic collaboration between business and IT leaders and set organizations on the path to thriving in the Industry 4.0 environment. This postmodern ERP mindset has just begun to catch hold in the supply chain industry, yet Industry 4.0 pushes the boundaries of even this cutting-edge approach. Industry 4.0 calls for a truly agile supply chain that integrates IT systems both vertically and horizontally. Using robust data integration networks that span usually disconnected departments like engineering and customer service, the Industry 4.0 company is much more cohesive. And because these data systems can communicate beyond the boundaries of the company, they provide unprecedented integration, resulting in a much more agile supply chain. And now, the widespread incorporation of IoT, also known as Internet of Things. Another aspect of that integration is the incorporation of networked machines and sensors throughout the supply chain. The Internet of Things refers to computing technology embedded in devices which can communicate with other devices and people through the internet, meaning no human intervention is needed. Currently, IoT is most often found vertically within an organization. For instance, the supply chain's devices and sensors communicate with each other, providing useful but limited intelligence to the manufacturing control system. The next phase, however, incorporates the IoT to communicate across departments as well. Much like IT system software will be integrated, so too will devices, sensors, and humans throughout the organization. The Industry 4.0 supply chain fully leverages the Internet of Things for streamlined, agile operations with far greater visibility and transparency. Let us take a closer look at some of the benefits of implementing Logistics 4.0 in our day-to-day operational activities. Manufacturing leaders around the world are already moving to create more flexible, efficient, productive supply chains that embody the principles of the Fourth Industrial Revolution. In the short term, supply chain managers will need to look closely at critical domains like demand planning and supply network design, facilitating an evolution toward the Fourth Industrial Revolution. Facilitating an evolution to the Industry 4.0 framework has multiple benefits. Direct cost savings. Increased technological integration increases efficiency, while predictive analytics ensure fewer supply chain disruptions. Enhanced speed. Industry 4.0 allows faster reaction times and greater flexibility in production systems, both necessary as customer expectations in demand satisfaction rise and multi-channel distribution channels become more prevalent. Increased profitability. Industry 4.0 systems allow you to offer more customized products, which generally yield a higher profit margin. Competitiveness in the global market. With South Africa being a developing country, the interdependence of the global economy means that Logistics 4.0 will eventually be the standard practice rather than the exception. and increased employee productivity. I'm sure many a CEO and director that is listening in right now would definitely unanimously agree that improved user experience in operating systems will reduce training time and improve operational speed. The fourth industrial revolution seems to be the topic of the day, especially in our country of late, and I actually want to delve into now the actual application of 4IR technologies and methodologies into our businesses, into our day-to-day operational activities, so that we really capitalize and harness the power that the 4IR presents itself with insofar as integration is concerned. Taking a closer look at the stratosphere of customs compliance and freight forwarding, blockchain technology will optimize schedule planning and deliver an enhanced experience to both import and export clients alike. The fourth industrial revolution is characterized by the convergence of breakthrough technologies such as advanced robotics, artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, virtual and augmented reality, wearables and additive manufacturing that are transforming productions, processes, and business models across different industries. Business leaders can no longer focus on developments and trends in their own sectors alone, but need to understand potential transformations and disruptions in the entire world of suppliers, customers, and adjacent markets. Visibility. Real-time, end-to-end connected information with IoT devices that are connected without human intervention will provide an accurate analysis and visibility to all import and export clients, thus reducing communication time on emails, operating systems, and phone calls, and therefore optimizing productivity at the office. And I think that's something that we definitely need to look at almost immediately, is the ability of a client to just via a mobile application perhaps or a digital channel access real-time information as and when it happens through IoT devices that are in containers. Obviously, we've heard of the advent of smart containers that many shipping lines have already incorporated into their equipment, and this is something that we as freight forwarders really need to implement. And I think again it can very easily be done because the devices are available and they are at our disposal. We just need to access them. 90% of international trade is carried by maritime freight. No goods can enter or leave the Republic without first being declared to customs. Or should I say, no goods can illegally enter or leave the Republic without first having been declared to customs. Everything around us is international trade, from the computer that you are logged into, to the chair that you are seated on, and even the table upon which the laptop or computer is placed. So really, international trade makes the world a more colourful place. And as logistics professionals, we play an increasingly pivotal role in ensuring that goods move from country to country across international waters and borders in a seamless and most efficient manner. Taking a closer look now at freight handling and warehousing professionals and 7 smart technologies that we could use to optimize our productivity and improve efficiencies. We've spoken briefly about the benefits of fully autonomous and robotic technologies, but it's not always feasible for every warehouse to immediately embrace such technology, especially considering that this implementation does require sizable funds and infrastructure changes. But have we heard of collaborative robots, known as cobots? That's why more and more warehouses are embracing collaborative robots or cobots, autonomous elements that are built to work with your existing associates and not without them. Cobots allow warehouses to keep many of their processes and infrastructure design choices intact, while still benefiting from the optimized workflow that fully autonomous elements provide. Building on the smart technologies available to us, we have automated storage and retrieval systems. Automated storage and retrieval systems have been around for years. And though they have done their job of improving throughput and accuracy, they have often been regarded as being expensive, clunky, and generally inflexible. Having said that, today's AS and RSs are only getting sleeker and still tout all of their original benefits: reduced labor costs, modular possibilities, and of course increased accuracy. You don't need to complete a comprehensive overhaul of your warehouse to make it smarter and more efficient. Instead, introduce the technologies that make sense for your business and all of its processes first. Then, you will see that any warehouse can become a smart warehouse. As a customs compliance and freight forwarding professional, we are cognizant of the fact that record keeping is imperative in terms of Section 101 of the current Customs and Excise Act 91 of 1964. I'm sure many of you would agree with me that nothing compares to the frustration of having to walk to a filing room, look for a particular shipment to have it readily available for a SARS official, as opposed to utilizing 4IR technology being cloud storage, which offers unparalleled security and also easier accessibility to those records. And as a customs compliance and freight forwarding professional, we should harness the power of this technology and apply it almost immediately. Earlier this year, I penned an informed insight titled SA Ports Need to Get Smart. We've seen of late there's been lots of media coverage around the delays at the Port of Durban, with commentary that trucks take almost up to sometimes 36 hours to turn around at the port. And now more than ever, we need to harness, as logistics professionals, as the decision makers, as port managers, 4IR technologies to improve efficiencies as mentioned across the platform of logistics, but more so even on our ports. So looking at the diagram here, we can see that there's not a single autonomous port in Africa. And South Africa has always been at the forefront of innovation in terms of logistics in Africa, and we need to maintain this. We need to maintain our position, and in order to do that, we have to integrate 4IR technology into our ports. As you can see from the diagram, it really is a revelation, an eye-opener. Africa has not a single autonomous port, as compared to the rest of the world, where in many European ports, it's fully autonomous and fully operationally autonomous. So we really need to take a closer introspection and not just talk about it. Talk is cheap, money buys whiskey. We actually need to implement it into our business model and take it forward. I do hope that our minds are now more receptive and more open to 4IR technology. The new acts will have new compliance criteria, and one must be aware of the changes and timelessly take steps now to ensure compliance or run the risks of not receiving new registration or licensing. This can potentially have disastrous consequences for a myriad of businesses. E-filing will now be done on a single registration platform. Taking a look at the impact on pre-clearances. Section 170, submission of clearance declarations before arrival of goods at place of entry. A clearance declaration in relation to goods imported or to be imported into the Republic may be submitted to the Customs Authority before the arrival of the goods at the place referred to in Section 90, provided that the goods have already been loaded on board the vessel, aircraft, railway carriage or vehicle transporting those goods to the Republic. If a clearance declaration is received before the goods arrive at the place referred to in Section 90, Customs Authority may proceed with processing and validating the declaration, despite the fact that the goods have not yet arrived at the place, but may not release the goods before their arrival at that place. This allows for greater control in terms of assessment of the entries, and it obviously takes off the pressure in terms of OGA stops. Looking at the impact on customs value and rate of exchange daily, Chapter 7 of Duty Act, Current Customs and Excise Act 91 of 1964, Section 65 to 67 is titled Value for Customs Duty Purposes, Transaction Value, Adjustments to Price Actually Paid or Payable, and Section 73 obviously covering currency conversion. In the new Act, what's changed? Section 112 to 150, Self-Determination, Determination by Customs, and Redetermination by Customs or Advanced Ruling by Customs Chapter 10. In the new Act, we will no longer be using the shipped on board date to determine the date for currency conversion. The rate of exchange published every Wednesday will be valid for a week except if it is a public holiday. Taking a look now at accredited clients, Section 64E of the current Act. In the new Act, Section 664 to 684, that is the Customs Control Act Chapter 30, requires the goods may now be imported without a permit and placed into a bonded warehouse for no longer than 90 days so that the permit can be obtained and then cleared from bond thereafter. Duty-free goods and bonded goods will be able to be stored in the same warehouse, no longer be required to store bonded goods separately from the free store stock, subject to the warehouse licensee having a system that at any time can distinguish these cargoes from each other and report thereon. The acquittal period for goods going into a bonded warehouse is reduced from 30 days to 3 hours due to real-time electronic reporting. An electronic monthly report of goods received and dispatched must be made within 7 days of each month end. It is therefore imperative to employ the use of 4IR technologies now, because once the new acts become legislation, our processes would need to be aligned to the requirements of the new act, which again, just from what we've heard, 3 hours from 30 days to 3 hours due to real-time electronic reporting. Traders will now be able to apply for refunds for a period of 3 years, whereas it used to be 2. Similarly, SARS will be able to draft audit backdated for a period of 3 years, whereas it used to be 2 as well. This online expo has been a great meeting place for industry members and has allowed for seamless networking to take place in a very innovative and transformative manner that has undoubtedly ushered in a new era in the online media stratosphere. It is safe to say that Freight Trading Weekly and FTW Online are definitely harnessing the power of the fourth industrial revolution. I would like to acknowledge Joy Olek, Jolene Dupria, and Natalie Kumelicha of FTW Online for the opportunity. I would also like to express my heartfelt appreciation to the South African Maritime School and Transport College for their support, and I would like to acknowledge my parents, George and Rogani Naidoo, for their love and support during the self-recording.